It is the final NBA injury report prior to the All-Star break. We have about a week off until there's going to be any more main slate of NBA action. There is the NBA All-Star game on Sunday, but not something I'm going to be covering in an injury report. So last chance to get into some NBA action for a little bit of time here. Do us a favor, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you guys have any questions, anything changes over the course of the day, leave a question below in the comment section. I'll be answering those later in the day. At least as of now, not that much injury news to hit on, so this is probably going to be a fairly quick one. Jimmy Butler was questionable earlier in the day, but the Heat have since upgraded him to probable. So only a couple things to talk about. We'll start by hitting on Adams' Washington Wizards, who Rui Hachimura, he is questionable. Daniel Gafford, he is back from the health and safety protocols. Thomas Bryant, not officially listed on the injury report, but since he's coming off a torn ACL, the Wizards aren't really playing for anything, and it's the tail end of a back-to-back. I tend to think there's a good chance he sits. Status kind of up in the air. I'll ask you for Thomas Bryant take the start. Do you think he will play today?
For now, I'm assuming he will, since he's not on the injury report. I think it's a reasonable take that maybe he wouldn't, just for the reasons that you said. He hasn't played a back-to-back yet. I don't know how many he's been scheduled for, but yeah, I think it's a reasonable take. For now, I'm assuming that he does, though.
Yeah, so to answer that part, there has only been one back-to-back that the Wizards have had since he returned, and he did not play in that. So who knows? That was February 1st and February 2nd, but there was also kind of compounding factors there because that was when he sprained his ankle. So it was a situation where the first sprains his ankle, doesn't play on the second, but who knows? Because he ended up playing in the next game. Was it because of the ankle injury? Was it because of the back-to-back? Was it a little bit of both? Also a possibility. But at least as of now, I think there's a pretty good chance that Thomas Bryant doesn't play. And considering it's a smaller slate without that much going on in the injury report, it's worth bringing up. So let's talk about a situation. Let's say Gafford plays and starts. And if Hachimura is out and Bryant is out, how would that make Daniel Gafford look to you?
I think it would make him look good. I don't know what kind of minutes restriction he would potentially be on, but he's 3K flat. It's a good spot against Brooklyn. If Rui is out and Bryant is out, it's not like they really have a backup center. Like you'll probably get like Anthony Gill playing. So I think Gafford would play like as many minutes as he can. And with the rate that he produces fantasy points at, even if that number is like 18 at 3K, it's still going to offer value.
And then is there anything else you could see as being potential value on Washington? It is a pretty thin team, especially now that we've got Porzingis isn't ready to play. Bradley Beal is going to be out for the season. Is there anything else in the front court specifically you'd look at and be like, oh, if there is no Hachimura and Bryant, this is good value?
You could potentially get Carey in the rotation. I don't like if Bryant and Rui were out and Gafford is on a minutes limit. I assume that Vernon Carey's playing some. He's 3,400. I don't think I would really get there unless they say something like Daniel Gafford's limited to like 12 minutes or something ridiculous like that. But I do assume that he would soak up some minutes. But also Anthony Gill could play quite a bit. He has small forward eligibility on DraftKings. He's 3,500. He's not a great point per minute guy, but this is a good matchup. And if both of those centers are out, you could certainly get Gill playing into the mid-20s.
All right, now let's talk about really the only other injury situation to talk about, and it's complicated for a number of reasons. Houston and the Los Angeles Clippers playing tonight. On the Houston side of the game, Christian Wood is questionable. Kevin Porter Jr. is questionable. Neither of them played last night, both due to illness. So I tend to think if these guys aren't 100%, Houston, nothing to play for. We're heading into the All-Star break. Why not give these guys the game off? But at the same time, they're both questionable, and this game is on a total island. It starts at 10:30 Eastern time, so 2 hours later than any other game on the slate. So two-part question, Adam. First of all, how are you going to handle this if both these guys are questionable heading into the 8:30 game? And then also, who benefits if they're out?
So if they're both questionable, I'm going to proceed as if they're in, but I'm not overly concerned about it because there's a ton of really good plays in this game, regardless of their status. Because if those guys are in, you still can get to some Jalen Green, some Jayshawn Tate, some cheap Eric Gordon. And then if those guys are out, you're going to want pretty much everybody that is playing for Houston. It would be a huge bump for Dennis Schroeder. If Porter's out, it's a huge bump for Şengün. If Wood is out, Eric Gordon gets a nice usage bump if those guys are out as well. So one way or the other, you're going to want a lot of guys from Houston. And there's also a lot of good plays on the Clippers tonight. So I don't think it's likely that you're going to have many lineups. Like if you assume that Wood and Porter are in, if they're questionable, still at lock, I don't think you're going to run into too many situations where you have a lineup like with those guys in and nowhere to swap. And you could always just set a rule to like make any lineup that has Wood or Porter, or somebody from that game, have 2 spots or something like that. So there's a lot of ways that you can handle it. For me, I probably won't set a specific rule just because I know I'm going to get to so much of this game anyway.
Well, that is going to do it for us. It's funny how these things work. We don't control the news. Yesterday, we do our longest ever NBA injury report video. Today, the shortest one. That's what happens. Back-to-back slates. I hope you guys enjoy the All-Star break. If you're signing up for Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports for the first time, do it using the link in the description box below. Get yourself 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Also, do us a favor. Like this video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Any questions at all, leave them in the comment section below. Have a great weekend.